Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. Please subscribe and keep watching more details. The bold and the beautiful spoilers. Carter puts his plan in motion to oust Ridge and Steffy. The bold and the beautiful spoilers indicate that Carter Walton, Lawrence St. Victor, is very upset with how things are working out at Forrester Creations. Carter feels that some people are not getting the treatment they deserve. Carter also believes that he can bring Forrester into the future with a fresh new perspective. Will Cart launch a plan or the board to put someone else in charge? The bold and the beautiful spoilers reveal that Carter is fed up with the way Brooke Logan, Catherine Kelly Lang, and Hope Logan, Annika Noel, are treated at Forrester Creations. Steffy holding Hope's job over her head for a personal vendetta was ridiculous. But now that Hope has been fired and her line has been canceled, Carter is determined to take action. Carter has plans for Forrester that have been shot down yet again. Carter knows the only way to get his wishes for the company and to get Hope her job back is to get Ridge Forrester, Thorsten Kaye, and Steffy Forrester, Jacqueline McSinswood, out as CEO. Is Carter trying to get this job for himself so he can do what he wants with the company? Steffy has wanted to get rid of Hope for the future since before Thomas Forrester, Matthew Atkinson, came back the last time to design for Hope. Truth be told, getting rid of the line is exactly what possessed Steffy to push Thomas to leave town when he and Hope broke up months ago. Thomas would have stayed in town otherwise. Hope had no idea that John Finnegan, Tanner Nublin, was anywhere near Forrester Creations, so how could she have been waiting for him unless he texted her? Steffy wanted an excuse to have Hope throw him out, and not she has it. Ridge backing Steffy's decision is obviously going to cause him major upset in his personal and his business life as well. Carter must realize that once he pulls this stunt, he will no longer have the support of Eric Forrester, John McCook, Ridge, or Steffy. Eric and Steffy also own the majority of the company. How is Carter going to manage to pull this off? As COO, has Carter been doing some fancy work with the company's finances and ownership? The Sturd Zero is thrilled right now to find out that Bill still owns it, just so he could buy it from him. How strange would it be for Forrester to be owned by someone else once again? That someone being a worker. Will Carter put the Logans back into power over Forrester Creations if he can manage to pull his off? In the glittering world of Los Angeles high fashion, where the halls of Forrester Creations gleamed with ambition and power plays, Carter Walton had always been a loyal confidant and sharp legal mind. But loyalty, as it turned out, had its limits. It wasn't the bright lights of fame or the whispers of wealth that stirred him. It was the simmering sense of justice, mixed with the desire to carve out a destiny where he was more than just the fixer of others' messes. Carter knew what he was about to embark on was risky. The Forrester family, especially Ridge and Steffy, guarded their positions with the ferocity of a lioness with her cubs. But the cards had changed, loyalty had its price, and Carter was ready to collect. He spent countless sleepless nights poring over documents, hidden agreements, and financial records that even Ridge, with all his years in the game, hadn't thought to secure better. His plan began quietly, as most cunning strategies do, behind closed doors and under the cloak of routine. The morning sun cast a warm glow over the Forrester estate as Carter parked his car, his heart thudding with a mix of anticipation and resolve. He knew he had allies, some unwitting, others eager for the shakeup. Carter entered the imposing office, glancing around at the familiar sight of sketches, fabric samples, and the faint scent of jasmine from Steffy's preferred room spray. He was there for a meeting that Ridge himself had called, one meant to discuss the latest line's international expansion. It was perfect cover for Carter to plant the seeds of his greater plan. "Carter, glad you could make it," Ridge said, his deep voice commanding the attention of the room. Steffi nodded from her seat beside her father, her eyes sharp and assessing. "Wouldn't miss it," Carter replied smoothly, his voice as steady as a rock. The meeting progressed as expected, with Ridge and Steffi mapping out strategies, discussing contacts in Europe, and peppering Carter with legal questions. He answered them all with a practiced ease, each word chosen carefully, each document he pulled up showcasing his prowess. He let them talk, let them bask in their usual assurance that everything was under control. What they didn't see was the subtle, strategic shifts happening beneath the surface. Later that day, Carter made his way to the design wing, where the more tactile part of the Forrester magic happened. He exchanged a quick nod with Zend, who was focused on a vibrant, asymmetrical gown, and walked past a group of interns buzzing around with fabric samples. His destination was a small, overlooked office on the far side of the floor, a space that once belonged to a now-retired board member who hadn't been replaced. Inside waited Paris Buckingham, a wild card in Carter's plan. They'd shared history, complicated and tumultuous, but that connection would serve him now. Paris looked up from her tablet, her eyes catching the glimmer of determination in Carter's gaze. "Are we really doing this?" she asked, a mix of trepidation and excitement coloring her tone. Carter nodded. "We have to, Paris. It's now or never. If we want to change how things are run around here, it starts today." Paris took a deep breath and set her tablet down, her fingers intertwining nervously. "All right, tell me what you need." Carter outlined the next steps, each task an essential cog in the larger machine of his strategy. They needed to pull records from Ridge's tenure, look at moments where lines were crossed in ways that could shift board support. Steffi was formidable, but even she was vulnerable if the right pressure points were found. The first step was a calculated whisper campaign. Carter knew he couldn't act alone. He needed to spread doubt among key figures without raising immediate suspicion. The likes of Eric Forrester and Thomas were unpredictable. Their reactions could sway everything. Over the next week, Carter, with Paris's subtle assistance, orchestrated private conversations and strategic leaks. An overheard remark here, a question left unanswered there. It was like playing a high-stakes game of chess, and Carter was prepared to sacrifice pawns if it meant cornering the king. Steffi, always one to sense the shifting winds, began to pick up on the murmurings. She pulled Carter aside one day, her eyes narrowing as they stood in the corridor. "Is it just me, or does it feel like something's off lately?" she asked, her voice low and guarded. Carter met her gaze, masking his surprise at how quickly she caught on. He tilted his head slightly, playing the role of the loyal friend. "There's always talk, Steffi. You know how this place is. But if there's anything serious, you be the first to know." Satisfied, but not entirely convinced, Steffi let it drop. For now. As Carter moved into Phase 2, he worked late into the night, compiling evidence. The documents were carefully selected, showcasing instances where Ridge's ambitious moves had cost the company in ways the board might reconsider under a different light. He wouldn't stoop to falsehoods. Everything had to be real, but context was a tool Carter wielded like a scalpel. The day came when Ridge and Steffi were called into an unscheduled board meeting. Carter stood at the back, hands clasped behind his back as Eric opened the session. The room buzzed with a strange energy, the kind that precedes an unanticipated shift. Ridge raised an eyebrow, looking to Steffi, who shrugged in response, equally confused. The board members exchanged glances, some avoiding Ridge's eyes altogether. "What's this about, Dad?" Ridge finally asked. Eric sighed, folding his hands atop the polished mahogany table. "Ridge, Steffi, there have been concerns brought to the board's attention regarding the company's recent directions and risks." Carter's pulse quickened. This was it, the moment where the whispers turned into a roar.